Hey friends, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the book that I'm currently writing. The book's called Introspect, and it's like a field guide for people who are currently on the hero's journey of figuring themselves out, and specifically, figuring out their self-concept, figuring out what they care about, what their desires are, what their fears are. And the point of doing that is, to arrive at a more coherent and cohesive sense of self. And really it's about seeking relief from the stress and pain and confusion and disorientation of being kind of fragmented and confused. And I want to talk about this book more often because I think the more I talk about it, the more I will compress it into a simple idea. Right now I'm still sketching what the book is. I started writing this book, or I started putting together ideas for this book. Well, there's many different ways I could say it. I started the Twitter account for this book in 2018, and but I have been thinking about it. I want to say all my life, but it's a bit dramatic. I've been journaling and blogging since I was like 12, 13, right? I've had blogs all my life. And I would say that where I am in my life right now, the level of comfort that I have, the level of confidence that I have that is grounded and honest and not bluster and bravado, that comes from a lot of journaling and a lot of introspection. And I get DMs and comments about this a lot, all the time, on Twitter mostly. And I have helped a lot of people through their stuff by talking with them, and some people have told me that I've helped them more than their therapist, which seems crazy to me. But you know, therapists are humans too, and they have jobs and they have stress, and they have their issues. And anyway, I wanted to write this book as a sort of condensation of all these conversations that I've had with people and all the journaling that I've done, all the lessons that I've learned from doing all the journaling. And it's challenging regardless, even though I have all the material and all the knowledge, because the project management of writing a book is really hard, it's really challenging. And I knew that at some level, which is why I didn't want it to be my first book. I made my first book, Friendly Ambitious Nerd, which is easier to talk about because it's it's less self-directed. It's less. It doesn't ask as much of the reader, right? So, Friendly Ambitious Nerd is just a demonstration of what it is like to be a friendly ambitious nerd, and introspection is more. It's a bit more dangerous, I would say. It's a bit more high stakes. It involves helping you kind of figure out what you're about, right? Figure out what you care about. Figure out what's important to you, and it goes to some painful and difficult territory, and which is why I think I procrastinated on the book for a long time, because I don't want people to feel attacked in a way that is not productive. And I think introspection, like meditation and like psychedelics, I'm guessing, and like all of those experiences, uh, it can be destabilizing. There's a great Joseph Campbell quote about how the difference between someone who's like a psychotic schizophrenic type and a mystic is that they're both diving into the same inward sea, but the mystic is skilled, has guidance, has experience, knows what he's doing, and so he's swimming. Whereas the psychotic, right, or the person who is struggling, they have fallen into the waters and they don't know how to swim, they are lost, overwhelmed, confused, and they're drowning, right? And so inviting people into the inner sea, right, is a kind of scary thing to do, a kind of dangerous thing to do. Some people will be like, oh, what's the danger? I don't see the problem. And like, okay, cool, that's good for you. But I'm careful because I don't want to, like, first, do no harm, right? So I spent a long time trying to make sure that I wouldn't do harm. And once I realized this, which was like halfway through the book, I realized, okay, I can put a warning, I can put a bunch of things to look out for and recommendations and stuff like that, and eliminate most of my worry about what would be bad about the book. Anyway, so I've been through several iterations of the book. One thing I want to share is that initially, I think a part of it was I wanted to write a book about transcending boredom, right? Boredom doesn't make any sense. Why do we get bored when there's so much to do and see in the world? And yet the experience of I'm bored is a real experience. I've had it a lot, and I'm sure you have as well. And I would say there's nothing to do the statement, the feeling. Like, it might not be literally true, but it's true in a kind of figurative sense. And it's similar to when you look in your closet and there's nothing to wear, right? Or you're scrolling through TV, there's nothing to watch. There's nothing on TV, even though there's a lot of stuff, but there's nothing good, right? There's nothing that feels right. And so when we say there's nothing to do, I don't know what to do, I don't feel like doing anything, it's because we're tired. It's because we are operating in a cluttered space that we don't quite understand and it's messy and chaotic. It's because we have high standards and we want whatever it is that we're doing to be really good. So what we mean is there's nothing good to watch. There's nothing great to wear. Nothing great to do. We want greatness, but greatness never starts out that way. Greatness always starts with small beginnings, right? Sic parvis magna. And the last thing, so it's a four. I've come to believe it's a boredom. It's a 4-part equation, right? So it's you're tired, it's cluttered, perfectionist, and the last thing is you don't quite know what you want, right? You have unclear utility values. You don't quite have a sense of purpose. You don't quite have a sense of your desires or your goals. And so, if there's no broader context for what you're doing everything in and you don't have that clarity, then everything kind of feels listless and pointless and it's frustrating. So, shit, have I been recording? Oh man, I have been recording. This mic's not on. You forgive me, I'm just gonna record straight from my camera then. Jesus, what a dumb problem. Anyway, you don't want to, where was I? So you want to have a sense of what you want, right? And when you know what you want, how do you figure out what you want? And that's what this book was going to be about. And then, so I went through a long process of all the things that I thought you have to ask yourself to figure out what you want. But it felt stale, it felt weird, it felt wrong, and I realized very late. I had written the whole book already like a couple of times, like a couple of sets of drafts of this book of how to figure out what you want. And then I realized that's not what I wanted the book to be about, because I was just reading it, it felt so stale, it felt so academic, and it doesn't resonate with me with regards to what my experience was. And I realized that on top of listing out what you want, you have to kind of investigate why you want what you want and investigate your desires and stuff. And to do that, you end up questioning your self-concept, right? Like, who are you, right? What are you about? What's your story? And that's scarier, I would say, than just like superficial stuff that you want. And then, when you investigate your self-concept deeply enough and you keep questioning, you eventually reach something, I would say, akin to an experience of self-annihilation. Like, when I say self, I mean the annihilation of your image of yourself, right? Which is painful because you associate with your image of yourself until you realize it's an image. And you identify with it and you think it's you, but it's not. And then there is rebirth and renewal. So it does follow the hero's journey. There's rebirth and renewal. You come to a new, more integrated version of yourself. And what else? And then you return with the elixir, right? So you come back to your ordinary life, but with this greater sense of awareness of yourself. And you may find yourself starting to wear jewelry, maybe whatever's right for you, right? Whatever feels right for you. And you bring that awareness and understanding into the things that you do, your actions, your relationships, everything. And that is the goal. And then now you can be a guide for other people, to guide them through their reintegration process, sort of their death and renewal, rebirth, trials and tribulations. Anyway, so that's kind of a quick sketch of what my book is about. And if you have any questions or any things that you would expect to see in such a book, or just any feelings, any thoughts that you have, it would be super useful for me. So drop me some comments. Done.